Welcome back to Ergstown, 4th grade engineers. Today we're going to do lesson 3.1, activity 3, and it's called Synthesizing Ideas About Energy Sources. Let's review our unit question. How does the electrical system work? So we're going to think about how today's information will help us get closer to answering this question. We're going to work with the reference book today. And we are going to connect the investigations that we just did in the sim to what we read about in It's All Energy in order to come to a new understanding. Remember, that's what we do when we synthesize. Take what we learned before to come to a new understanding. Here's our question we're trying to answer for the chapter we are on. Where does the electrical energy for the devices in Ergstown come from? That's a question we need to try to answer. So let's do that by reading from our reference book. First of all, I want you to look at the table of contents. And I want to know where energy comes from, so where should we look? Look through all our options in our table of contents. If you saw energy sources on page 26, you're right. That's where we're going to turn to. At the same time, I want you to get out your investigation notebook, because we're going to fill out the table on page 41. As I read It's All Energy to you, I want you to focus on 3 different energy sources, the ones that we used in our sim: fossil fuels, wind, and sun. And you can see them on the table on page 41. Now, we're going to listen as I read, and we're only going to be filling out the table today. We're not going to answer the question at the bottom until we've read all the pages we need. So as I read the pages 26, 27, 28, and 29 to you, think about ideas that you've learned and what we can write down. I will do the first one, fossil fuels, with you, and you will then know how I would want you to fill out wind and sun. So we're going to go to page 26. It's called Energy Sources. Please read along with me. Energy has to come from somewhere. This section lists energy sources that are found in nature before humans do anything to convert or transfer the energy. However, the energy from these sources still come from somewhere. The energy from any source can be traced back to another source. So you have some options here. Humans have many choices about where their energy comes from. Each energy source comes with trade-offs. For example, some are cheaper but less renewable, and some are more efficient but more expensive. Here are some of the things people consider when deciding what to use as an energy source. Renewability is one of those. Renewability is an energy source is called renewable if nature will always provide more of it, even after you've used what nature has already provided. For instance, sunlight is renewable because after you use sunlight, the sun still shines and gives you some more. Reliability. Some energy sources are available at any time, whenever you need them. These sources are more reliable. Some energy sources are available only some of the time, and the time when they're available may not be the time when you want them. These sources are less reliable. Cost. The cost in money of an energy source is a combination of a few different things. The energy itself may be free, or it may have some cost, depending on how much there is and how hard it is to get. No matter what the energy costs, the converter that makes it into a useful form also has a cost that should be considered. For each energy source, this section lists whether the source is less expensive, $1 sign, more expensive, $2 signs, or most expensive with $3 signs compared to other energy sources. Prices change as the technology and availability of resources change. So these costs are just estimates. And environmental impact. Money is just one way that energy can be costly. Getting and using energy makes changes in the environment. That is another kind of cost. Energy use can affect human health and the health of other living systems. Energy use can change the environment where the energy source is found, where the energy is used, and along the route where energy is transferred. Evidence shows that energy can affect the climate of the entire planet. Some sources of energy have a bigger impact on the environment than others. Now I'm going to read pages 28 and 29. At the end, I will show you how you can fill out the graphic organizer on page 41. Fossil fuels. So that's one of our categories. Oil, coal, and gas are mined or pumped from the ground. These materials are rich in chemical energy. Humans can burn these materials to get energy from them. Humans also make other fuels, such as gasoline, from these materials. The thermal energy from burning fuel can be used to heat buildings, and it can also be used to make cars go and to make electric generators spin to produce electrical energy. These fuels have been the major source of energy for humans for over 100 years. So they have a couple pictures here of people pumping oil out of the ground, digging coal out of the ground, and what it looks like. So now we're going to go to those 4 categories again, just like we were talking about on the previous page. Fossil fuels, talking about its renewability. Fossil fuels are not renewable. They are formed underground over millions of years. In order to keep steady supply of fuels, people have to keep looking for new places to find them and new ways to get them out of the ground. Reliability. Fuel is one of the most reliable sources of energy. You can burn it when you need it and save it when you don't. So far, people have not run short of fossil fuels, but they have become harder to get. And since they are not renewable, they could eventually run out. Costs. Fossil fuel cost is the least expensive. Energy produced from fossil fuel has always been a good value for the money compared to other sources. Cost depends partly on how much is done to reduce pollution from burning the fossil fuel. Making it cleaner makes it cost more. And the environmental impact of a fossil fuel. Mining and pumping fossil fuels from the ground damages natural habitats. Spills and leaks of fossil fuels during pumping or transportation have caused damage to natural habitats. When fossil fuels are burned, some of the material goes into the air as pollution. There are ways to capture some of the pollution, but they are expensive. Burning large amounts of fossil fuels is changing the atmosphere. Evidence shows that these changes are affecting the Earth's climate, making it warmer and also contributing to heat waves, cold spells, droughts, and severe weather events. Now I want you to go back to page 41. We'll use this table to record our ideas about the information from the book and how it connects to the sim. So when I was reading about fossil fuels, it made me think that that fuel in the sim is a fossil fuel, and that fossil fuels are an energy source that can power a system, okay? So I've written that down. When I read about fossil fuels, it made me think that fuel in the sim is a fossil fuel. So you remember the can, it's probably a gasoline. And I said fossil fuels are an energy source that can power a system. So if you want to pause this video and write this down under fossil fuels, this is the kind of idea I'm looking for you to write after you hear the wind section and the sun section being read. After we've completed both parts of these, that is when we will answer the question at the bottom of page 41. So go ahead and copy this down and then join me for the next activity where we're going to read about wind and sun.